Hi friends of cocktails and history. Today we're taking a look at the martini, probably the most famous cocktail out there. So it shouldn't be hard to say what exactly makes a martini, right? The famous glass? No. The brand of vermouth? Of course not. In its simplest and truest form, a martini is a mix of gin and vermouth, or sometimes vodka and vermouth. A dash or two of bitters is often added as well. The garnish is standard, however, an olive or a lemon twist. Even cherries were mentioned in the early recipes. I don't even have to go into this, right? Back to vermouth. Dry style is mostly used nowadays, but sweet vermouth was really popular in a martini too. And we haven't even gotten to the ratios of gin and vermouth. 1:1, 2:1, 5:1, 15:1. So yeah, you'll find plenty of books, blogs and YouTube videos telling you how to properly order a martini. But I think it's like ordering a steak. You have to find what suits you. And to do that, we have to try out different versions. But don't cook the steak well done, okay? Today we'll make 3 versions of the martini. 2 historic versions, from 1888 and from 1904, and a modern version with a homemade mix of bitters. So if you're ready, it's cocktail time. Before we even get to the martini, it's only right to mention its probable predecessors, the vermouth cocktail, the Manhattan, and the Martinez. With that mentioned, let's get on to the first printed recipe of the martini. It was written down by Harry Johnson in his 1888 book, titled The New and Improved Bartender's Manual. We'll follow the recipe, but I'll tell you what the modern measurements are. There was even an illustration for the idea on how to mix and serve this drink. So grab a mixing glass and let's make the 1888 martini. The recipe calls for filling the glass up with ice, then adding the ingredients. 2 or 3 dashes of gum syrup. I'll add half of a bar spoon, since it's hard to dash this viscous syrup. Next, 2 or 3 dashes of bitters. Boker's genuine only. No dasher on this modern interpretation of these historic bitters. So again, half of a bar spoon. 1 dash of curacao. No problem there, if you have a dasher bottle to spare. Then half a wine glassful of Old Tom gin. That's 30 ml or 1 ounce of the sweeter style of gin. Lastly, half a wine glassful of vermouth. According to David Wondridge, all early recipes called for sweet vermouth, so that's what I'm using, 30 ml or 1 ounce. The recipe then instructs to stir up well with a spoon. Strain it into a fancy cocktail glass and squeeze a piece of lemon peel on top and serve. I'll taste them all at the end. Now let's make the first version to move towards the drier styles of vermouth and to add an olive, which would dominate the 20th century. And it wasn't even called the martini. The Applegreen's bar book from 1904 actually lists the martini and a martini dry, but both with sweet vermouth. On the next page, however, you'll find the Olivette, made with a French dry vermouth, and garnish with an olive. We are again following the recipes, so into a mixing glass add 1 dash of orange bitters and 1 dash of Peychaud's bitters. Follow that with half of a jigger of Plymouth gin, specifically called for in the 1904 recipe. This is 30 ml or 1 ounce. And again an equal amount of vermouth, meaning this can still be categorized as a wet martini. Half of a jigger, so 30 ml or 1 ounce. Add ice and stir. When it's properly chilled, strain it into a cocktail glass. Then put in 1 olive. 1 more to go. A modern recipe. But now, let's talk about today's sponsor, Masterworks, which I'm super excited to work with. They realized something about investing. Let's take this vintage bottle of vermouth for an example. If you kept this in a warehouse somewhere with many bottles, just like this one, and the warehouse would even lend your bottle to other people, it wouldn't have much value, right? That represents your money in the bank. But if this was the only bottle in the world, created by world-renowned Italian maestro, its value would continue to go up, as it should for a fine piece of art. And if you could buy a piece of this bottle and then earn money once it's sold to a lucky buyer, wouldn't that be amazing? And that's exactly what Masterworks does with contemporary and fine art. They find and purchase works from artists like Picasso, Banksy and Basquiat, and then let me and you invest in that art. It sounds weird, but this art has performed very well as an investment this year, because it doesn't behave like traditional investments do. The first 6 months of this year, even as $13 trillion was lost in the stock market, art sales hit their highest ever first half total, and Masterworks has backed up this point. So far, they've sold 6 paintings, delivering an average return of 29%. I have to add that past performance is no guarantee of future results, but like a good martini, people value good investments. Masterworks has over 500,000 members so far, with a waiting list to sign up, but you can skip it by clicking the link in the description, or go to masterworks.art/KevinKos and find out if investing in art is right for you. Thank you, Masterworks. Back to the episode. Now, let's make my favorite version of the dry martini. I'll make this one with Tanqueray number 10 and Cokie extra dry. start by chilling the mixing glass, while the cocktail glass is already chilling in the freezer. I'll make a smaller size drink, so don't have to rush to still drink it cold. Start with 45 ml or 1.5 ounce of Tanqueray No. 10 gin. Next, 7.5 ml or 1/4 ounce of a dry vermouth. Even though this one is from Italy, the dry version are called the French style. For bitters, I'm adding 2 dashes of a house mix of martini bitters, using lemon, orange, grapefruit and spruce tips bitters. If you don't have them, use orange bitters. And lastly, 2 drops of saline solution. This will just brighten up the flavors even more. Add ice and stir to get proper dilution. You will see the amount of liquid in the glass rising. Inspired by the technique used at a Connaught bar in London, I'm pouring the cocktail from a high, spraying the liquid with lemon peel essential oils as it falls into the glass. A subtle cocktail that you don't want to overpower with lemon aroma. Beautiful. Time to taste them all. I'll start with the original, the 1888 version. It has more sweetness and warm spiciness that you'd expect from a martini. The vermouth and the Old Tom gin are both sweeter than what's in the modern counterparts. But there's also gum syrup and curacao. It's certainly an interesting glimpse into the origins of the martini, which by 1904 has evolved. Or at least the Olivette cocktail knew where the martini would go. Drier notes on the nose and the palate, and the Peychaud's bitters adding something interesting as well. It's still pretty red, since it has a 1:1 ratio of gin and vermouth, but this is definitely a martini in my book. The modern version is the cleanest version of the 3 martinis, highlighting the botanicals of gin and vermouth, with the bitters adding richness and complexity. Seeing as how I've made it the way I like it, it's no surprise this is my favorite of the 3. If you've enjoyed this, check out previous old versus new episodes, like the Manhattan mentioned earlier. Cheers, fans of cocktails!